flyer. You're going to see information about that upcoming teletown hall. But I want you, the listener, to understand it's not all over, that the Eighth Circuit is one of many circuits, and that you have to understand that the Supreme Court just said, stop what you were doing, saying to the Eighth Circuit, you got to stop on this Turtle Mountain case, saying that it can't, that there's no private right of action, and therefore the district court ruling was wrong. In fact, you got to, quote, stay your hand right now. And yet they did this new case with the section saying that there's no right to voter assistance because of no private right of action. So they're just like, in your face, Supreme Court. We do expect a showdown on this case in this coming Supreme Court term, because there will be, we do expect that there will be what we call certiorari, an appeal of the case to the Supreme Court, and that the Supreme Court probably will accept it. Remember, folks, there's just one thing I really want to underline 2,000 times in your mind, and that is the fact that for the last 60 years for the existence of this act, and across most of the United States, except for these 7 states of the Eighth Circuit, the law of the land has been private right of action. If there was no private right of action, none of the cases, most of the cases that you know of where people have challenged racial discrimination in voting wouldn't exist. Right, Daryl?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And Denise, I'm so excited, and we're so excited that on August the 6th, on the anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, on the 60th anniversary, that you're going to be joining us, so people can learn more about it by tuning in to our teletown hall, where we'll be talking about what in the world is going on with the Voting Rights Act in 2025 and how it compares to when it was enacted in 1965. So, Denise, we're very excited that you're going to be, continuing to teach and then talk about the experiences and what's going on in the Eighth Circuit.
And let's remember this. The Voting Rights Act would not have passed. It would not have passed Congress if people didn't take to the streets, if John Lewis didn't lead those folks over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And that's exactly why this is not something that is just in the courthouse. We have to be in the State House, and we need to be in the streets. That's why Good Trouble Lives On was such an important coming out this year. And the only way, frankly, that we are going to get our democracy back is by us. And here's the thing. We stand on the shoulders of the people who came before us, who were dealing with a weakened Voting Rights Act. John Lewis was dealing with no Voting Rights Act and no accountability for discriminatory voting practices. And they took to the streets, and they did not stop, and they persevered. And as we reach the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, we have an important question to ask ourselves as Americans about what direction we want our democracy to take. We've seen that members of this Supreme Court, Justice Kavanaugh, for example, have said maybe we don't need laws against race discrimination in voting anymore. Yet at the same time, we see this administration passing law after law after law designed exactly to strip the voices of the very communities who have been silenced throughout our nation's history and shed blood in order simply to be able to have a say. The one positive thing that I'm feeling right now, though, is right now, as we are sitting here, in Washington, D.C., Senator Raphael Warnock is announcing, right as we speak, the reintroduction of the Voting Rights Advancement Act that would restore full power to the Voting Rights Act that these courts have been taking away. And it's been introduced before, and it's going to take another fight, but we can keep marching on. And eventually, I believe that we are going to reach justice.
All right. Ooh, Denise, how do people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. The Missouri Voter Protection Coalition is Missouri's state voting rights table. We have 70 affiliated organizational partners. We have information about legislation and litigation and helping people exercise. We know that when people are armed with the tools, they can assert their rights. And that's the thing, that the power lies with the voters. And when the voters are able to exercise that power, we truly can save our democracy. Our website is www.movpc.org, movpc.org. And you can reach me at Denise@movpc.org.
Wow. Denise, you are such a leader. One thing we want everyone who's listening to know is that Denise has been our legal guru. She has been our legal leader of helping, to put together what we call the Eighth Circuit Working Group. And that is a coalition of 40 organizations from across the country. Your organization can join us and can become part of the Eighth Circuit battle, because we got to stop it, folks. We got to stop it with this Eighth Circuit cases. We can't allow this to become the law of the land, or the Voting Rights Act will not exist in practical form for anybody. There will be no ability to fight racial discrimination in voting, which means there will be no multiracial democracy, which means that there will only be white power, white political dominance. So it's critical that you, the listener, get involved with us and this this Eighth Circuit working group. And you can do that. You can write J. Dockens, Dockens, at tjcoalition.org. J. Dockens at tjcoalition.org. And we urge you to become part of us, because when this case goes to the Supreme Court and they're trying to decide what they're going to do, they need to hear from all of you, every organization in every state. They need to be hearing from you. And we want you to be part of that working group. Denise, you've been part of that group since November of 2023. What would you want to say to people about making sure that they get involved in the fight? The work of the Transformative Justice Coalition is so critical to bridging that divide between the cases and the law and the people who live and breathe and fight under those laws. And that's what's so valuable about this work. We are putting together communications materials, talking points. Exactly.
How do we talk about these things? Because this is not something that goes on. Well, these are things that are going on in a back room, but they affect people as they live and breathe. And Transformative Justice Coalition never forgets that. It starts and it ends with the people themselves. And so bringing the power to the people, bringing the collaborative power of all these different organizations around the country, and the talents that everybody brings to the table, it is truly the example of the genius of ordinary people. And that is what Transformative Justice Coalition does, is uplifts the genius of ordinary people.
Wow. That's just powerful, Denise, and thank you so much for being with us, folks. We've got to give a huge shout out to Denise Leiberman for being with us today as one of our special guests. Also, got to give a special shout out to Damario Solomon-Simmons, who is speaking to us with regards to Tulsa and things that were happening there. Barbara, did you want to jump in?
Yes,
okay.
And I want people to know again, mark that calendar of yours. Mark it for August the 6th, which is the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. We will be having a free national Teletown Hall that you can watch online anywhere in the world. And you are going to be able to hear the voices of people like Denise, the voices of people who have been in these streets fighting for their rights. You're going to hear from people who have cases before the courts and are trying to get their rights vindicated. You're going to hear from so many leaders. So people, join us on August the 6th. You can get more information at tjcoalition.org. Be sure to sign up. Be sure to sign up to get our newsletter. We have a newsletter that we put out every 2 weeks. It just came out called The Transformer. It's on that website now, and it talks about the work that we're doing. We're happy to be here in Chicago. We're happy to be here with the NBA, with the National Bar. And we're saying to the National Bar, you got to help do this work. We need all the lawyers of this country, of all races, to fight against this evil of trying to destroy our democracy and destroy our voting rights. People, we need you in this fight. Be sure to join us because we are serious. We're not out here just talking. We're about doing the work that makes rights possible, that will stop all the wrong that is going on, trying to impose racial discrimination on our lives. We won't have it. We're going to keep doing what we can to stop it. And that stay that you just saw the Supreme Court do is an important first step in that direction. Now we got to fight next year, this coming term in the Supreme Court, to hopefully win the total battle. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And I turn it back to Daryl because, Daryl, I know you're going to take us home. Thank you, everybody, for all you do. I'm still getting all these great articles about all these millions of you who went into the streets on July 17th and got into good trouble. We know that you'll be there for this voting rights fight as we continue. To you, Daryl.
Well, we thank both of our guests for being here. Remember that crazy Eighth Circuit, that's the same circuit that gave us the Dred Scott decision that said black man has no rights to white men is bound to respect. Now they're trying to strip access to protecting your voting rights. Folks, let's be focused. You know, Denise Leiberman made a statement. I want to lift that statement up before we close this out. Remember the shoulders on which we stand. Well, the question now becomes, what will be the legacy that we leave to the next generation? What will they have to stand on? Will we stand up and have our shoulders for them to use as the foundation, or will we be absent altogether? Folks, let's get off the sidewalks, get into the streets. Let's get into good trouble. Let's be certain that we stand up, that we square-shouldered, and we fight for what is right, and that includes our voting rights and our access to the courts. We look forward to everyone joining us on August the 6th for our National Teletown Hall, as well as when that case in Missouri makes it to the U.S. Supreme Court, we'll be in the streets in D.C. Until next Tuesday, noon, Eastern Standard Time, thank you, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
The preceding program was paid for by Barbara Arnwine.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
News Talk 1450 and 95.9 WOL with the Carl Nelson Show. Weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. Reverend Al Sharpton keeping it real from 1 to 4 1450 WOL, Washington, D.C. 95.9 W240DJ, WMMJ HD3, WDCJ FM HD3, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.